Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to Let's Try Godus? Godus? Listen, I don't know how to pronounce it. I will tell you, it's really addictive. So Godus is the latest game developed by, or rather designed by Peter Molyneux, who is, of course, the very famous game designer behind games like Fable, behind games like Black and White, and of course behind Populous, which is probably the original breakthrough hit way back in the day that really, made him famous as a game designer. So those of you who are younger may not be familiar with Populous, but really Godus is the true spiritual successor to Populous. And Populous is a game about being a god and in charge of a small tribe of people. And that's exactly what's going on here. It's got a very sort of odd, I don't know why the decision is to sort of crop the map like this, but it's got a great sort of stylized graphic set. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's elegant, I love it, I'm actually a huge fan of it, and the simplicity has to be like this for a certain reason, and that the world is absolutely massive. You can go around here. This is not actually, it looks like tundra, but it's actually outside of the area of my influence as a god. I don't have any believers over here, basically, so I can't influence the world over here, which is why it's monochromatic. But it's a huge world with some pretty cool kind of varied terrain going on. So, and so that's one of the reasons maybe why there's a simpler graphics standard. But I hope that you don't judge the game negatively just because the graphics are simple. Because first of all, I think the graphics are really lovely. Let's actually get one of my believers to walk around over there. And I don't know, I think he's kind of nifty. They come in male and female varieties. So you start the game with 2 followers, 2 believers, and nothing else. And you start off the game, when you first play it, the very first thing you do is help them destroy a boulder so they can free up a little bit of land so they can build themselves a hut. Then once they're in the hut, they do as humans do, and they start popping out some kids. Well, you can keep clearing away a little bit of terrain around them. And, well, let's see exactly what happens. This pink sphere over here, this is some amount of belief that has been stored up. So I can click on this building, this statue, and grab all that belief. So now I've got a lot of belief stored up, and now I can use that belief to execute some god actions. So let's go and decide to expand our little beach community over here. So yeah, again, this was sort of an island over here, and then I kind of just stretched out the path to grab onto the main continent over here and expand there. But let's build some more beach homes. So what I can do is I can grab the terrain here and just drag it and start to pull it and reshape things and just model terrain. And you can see, just sort of barely, it's subtle here, but a little square up here. This is a plot where a building can show up. And they come in a few different sizes. If I drag out over here, there should be a smaller plot that comes up first. And you should actually see a little number 1. Ooh, it's really pale. Right here, number 1 for a second. This one says number 2, and I can't remember for this particular game I have the number 3 plot size unlocked. We're going to find out here in a sec if it grows to the number 3 or if I just get some more smaller plots. Yeah, it looks like I don't have the number 3. Oh, just some more number 2s, so that's okay. So I couldn't remember the status of the game that I've loaded here for the video. So these are plots. These indicate that I can fit some buildings here, but they're not just going to pop up on their own. Instead, what I have to do, and you can see some more of these belief bubbles. I'm going to click on the building. I'm going to collect some more belief there. And there's a lot of little individual buildings to collect this belief from. And it pops up every now and again. There's a certain timer for that. In fact, I can click on houses and see what that is, but we'll get back to that a little bit later. So yeah, I can collect all this belief individually, or if I've plopped down one of these statues, this creates a settlement. You can see all the roads that come out of here. And then this statue automatically collects the belief of all buildings in a certain radius, which I can see if I right-click on there. And it builds these little roads. So that way I can just do one click, and it's really handy because it saves myself a lot of little clicking. And as convenient as that is, I have to say that little clicking is very satisfying. If you have played that freakishly addictive game, Cookie Clicker, on the web, you will know exactly how satisfying that sort of action can be. Anyway, we've got the beach community there, and I've collected that belief. The other thing you can see about these buildings, they've got these flags. These flags indicate that these buildings are full. If I hold down a right mouse button on there, first of all, you can see this building will produce another bubble of belief in 17 minutes. This is real time, and actually this timer continues to advance even when you have quit the game. When you join back in, then they know like the sort of real time of your computer, and it will progress forward. So you can close down your game for the night, and in the morning open it up, and all your buildings will be full of belief for you. But the fact of the matter is, you have enough buildings, enough going on that it's nonstop. This is not one of those games where you play a few turns and you have to shut it down until the next day. You can be playing this game continuously because you've got so many buildings. There's always going to be some with belief available for you. And in fact, you wouldn't want all the buildings to have belief all the time. But yeah, you can also see that the population of this house is full. So if I click on the house, one of the people will get out of the home. So this is a lady in this case, and she's going to go, she's just really huffing it over here, or hoofing it over here. She's going to go to one of these plots and start constructing a house. I'm going to throw out a few more people here. They're going to work together to improve these plots. Some of them will work together, and some of them will go to some of the other plots. I could click up here as well. They're going to come down here. I love the way that they run, actually, and then the way they deal with these little cliffs as well. They can jump down one cliff level. If I were to reshape it so that it would be a sharp cliff of like two, yeah, like right here, this is two cliff levels side by side. They can't make that jump or that climb, so you have to have these sort of staircase effects if you really want your people to wander around. But you can see here they're working together to build these buildings. I can right click and see how long it's going to take to do that. It will work a little bit faster if you've got enough people kicking around. On this right mouse button screen, you can also see this prompt for this diamond. I have a certain number of gems over here, and you can spend those to accelerate actions. There's a few different ways to get more gems in the game. This is not a free-to-play game. This is not a microtransaction game. You don't pay $5 to get more gems or anything like that, or at least you don't now. Hopefully that's not going to be the case, since you do have to pay for the game up front anyway. So some of you at this point may have noticed this annoying spinning icon over here prompting me that I've got something going on. So let's click on that and see exactly what it's telling me. Pottery. So I'm getting, because of my population size, I have unlocked the Pottery Science card. Or, I don't know, I've made it available, or I guess I've added the pottery card to my collection, but it is still currently locked. I need certain resources to actually unlock pottery for my people. Got a little information button over here. I can get a little bit of information about the background. For pottery to develop, a civilization must have access to clay and the ability to heat it to sufficient temperatures. One of the most important uses of pottery was in creating ovens. Rather than cooking over open fires, it was much more convenient to use clay ovens. If I complete pottery, if I unlock it, it will increase the health of my followers, which makes them survive a little bit longer in combat, and it will also lead to craftsmanship and unleavened bread technologies. We're going to close this card. We're going to see exactly where all these cards are. I've collected a certain amount of clay already, actually enough to complete all the clay. I have all the clay I need for this, but I also need some, I think this is meat and wood before I can finish everything up. Oh, no, I do actually have a bunch of meat already in there. I don't suppose I have enough timber, do I? Kindling, rather? I actually had 3 kindling kicking around. There you go. In one fell swoop, I've already unlocked pottery. Oh, that's actually pretty good for the video, actually. Game is under heavy development. For all I know, between the last time I played this and today, they may have tweaked some of the numbers that I needed for things, and therefore allowed me to get that. So I've unlocked that. I've not yet unlocked stone cottages. If I click on there, these are larger buildings than I have available right now. For that, I'm going to need some brick, some... actually... It's too bad I can't get the information from here. I'm going to have to go through. And I think that's proper sort of timber over there. Let's flip through this book. There's some more cards that I can unlock. Some of them give me more powers. Scroll back over here. Flint, clay, kindling, animal, furs, all resources. Other things I've unlocked by doing various things. I've got one thing still locked over here. Maybe we'll be able to find out what that is in this video. We'll see. And yeah, I am in a certain age. In fact, if I flip all the way back to the front of the book, this scrapbook, you can see I'm currently in the primitive age, and I'm still in the establishment period. Or actually, maybe I've completed the establishment period and I'm in the growth period. I think that might be the case. There's also the expansion period and the conquest period. All that fits under the primitive age. There's also a bronze age, an iron age, a philosophical age, an imperial age, a middle age, discovery age, industrial age, scientific age, atomic age, information age, space age. And let me tell you, I have played this game for hours, and I'm still just at this phase. Now, I believe that at a certain point, I think philosophical age and later is not currently available in beta due to bugs. They've got it disabled for now. Again, still under heavy development. But does this show you something about the scope of this game? This Peter Molyneux guy is kind of crazy in terms of the way he scopes the game. So again, don't let the simplicity of the graphics fool you. I've played this game for an extended period of time, and there is a lot of stuff left. And it's freakishly addictive, as I keep saying. So I've got another city over here, Clifton. You can rename these cities as well, which is kind of fun. So, you know, that was on a cliff. I've got lots of buildings here without an actual settlement. You know what? Let's go ahead and plop down one of those settlement buildings. I'm going to open up my little side menu over here. I've been using the Sculpt Land tool up to now, but I'm going to go down to the settlement tool. It's going to take 10k belief, and I'm going to drop it down somewhere. Now, this city reaches to around here, so if I plop it down, maybe right around here, that should actually be a pretty good coverage. So I plop down the town. It's going to expand the radius. Some people actually walk out of this building, and they're going to be patrolling the buildings and sort of collecting belief for me. And any belief that is in these buildings should get shunted to this middle statue. And if I click on that, I got 6,000 belief already collected. There we go, and a little bit more already waiting for me. And it just saves a lot of clicking effort and makes life really, really easy. And there's some nice little music that you get as you click through all of that. Just lovely. Here's a fertility shrine that I discovered in sort of disrepair and had my people fix up, and this increases the growth rate of new people in my little huts. I have a total population about 1,600. Once I reach 2,000, something new will unlock, so growing things that way will be quite important. This, I believe, was an expansion shrine, which expands my radius of influence. So again, here's the edge of my radius of influence. So anywhere over here, I can start to modify terrain. So let's look at doing that a little bit here. I've got a lot of belief. Now, I am in very rocky, sort of mountainous terrain over here, which is going to be quite expensive to flatten. I don't have to flatten everything. What I could just do is if I stretch this out a little bit and then stretch out the next layer a tiny bit just to make a sort of staircase effect. Oops, a little too far, so that's going to bulldoze that building. Oh well. Now my people should be able to walk up over here just fine. So on the other side over here, I'm going to just click on some of these rocks to clear them out of the way. I also get a little bit of belief from doing that, but you know, early on, it's a very important source of belief. At this point, not as much. Let's flatten this mountaintop here and actually make this a little nicer. So with my left mouse button, I can drag things around, and that includes dragging things together to cause it to sort of disappear. I can also just double-click. I have unlocked an ability where I can just double-click somewhere to rise up some terrain. It's quite easy. And I can double right-click to lower it, and that's quite handy as well. You can see some of the people from the bulldozed house over here have run around. They're going to build a new hut over here on the mountaintop. It does take my people a while to walk around. And in fact, if I were to release a person from over here, they really wouldn't do much. They would mostly just kind of wander around where they are. They're too far out of range of this building to come and help. But let's say, you know, I was trying to build a building quite far away. Where's a good spot? I'm not sure. Oh, in fact, here, this mountain is flat enough that I can actually fit a couple of buildings. But if I release some people from over here, I bet you they're going to be a little too far to actually come. So what I can do is I can place a totem over here. And the totem will attract, there we go, you see them start running? It'll attract people from anywhere on the map and tell them to run in this location. Oops, although this person can't make the step. You'll see they'll get up to here and they will point. They will point up to say, I'm trying to go over here, but I can't quite reach. That's when you're going to have to sort of sit around here and manipulate the map a little bit. There we go. I think they could start to do it at this point. This person's going to give it a try. Go up and up and up. And they will eventually make it to the top of this hill. And they will mostly sit there and worship the totem. They will just bow at the totem. And what I can do once they get close enough, since they won't do anything if they're just worshiping at the totem, I can deactivate it. It'll leave it there, but then they're free to sort of free walk. But now they're close enough that they're going to start producing those buildings. And so you can keep doing that. You can reshape the world in all kinds of interesting ways. There's also going to be a lot of little secret stuff hidden around the world. Let me see if I can find one. Because we were talking about those resources, right? We were talking about kindling and clay and fur and all kinds of other goods. I wonder if there might be one under this rock. Nope. There were 3 there. I should have actually hunted one down before starting the video. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some behind the trees here somewhere. That happens quite often. So I'm trying to find a chest. So there are chests hidden all over the world. And they contain some goods. Oh, there's a chest there. It's actually, wow, just under the surface. Let me actually raise the surface here to give you an example of what it can look like. I'm just trying to double click and raise frame. There we go. So oftentimes you'll see this. You'll just see this little, like, these particle effects over an area like that. And that's to indicate that there's a chest somewhere underneath. Sometimes it's quite deep, actually. So if I go back over to my actual territory, you'll see these pits like that. And that's me digging to an extremely deep chest at some point to try to reach it. Sometimes I fill them in. Oh, here was another example of me trying to reach one of these chests. Sometimes I go back and fill them in, but it does cost quite a lot of belief to dig that deeply. So in this case, I know it's quite shallow, so I'm just going to dig. I have to dig to expose it. There we go. So then once it's exposed a little bit, I can click on it, and it'll give me a card. And these are always resource cards. So there we go. So we got some more animal furs. And if I close that, if I had something that currently needed an animal fur, it would also show me the progress made in that direction. There's also a shrine of power here. If I can get someone to come and fix up this shrine, then I will unlock a new power. Now, I happen to know in this case that this is the swamp power, which lets me put down this sort of blighted swamp area, which is what this is. This makes people sick. Why would I want to do that? I mean, other than maybe I'm just a kind of a dick god. Well, the reason I would want to do that is for combat. It's for competition. There is a multiplayer kind of battle mode in this game. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. Oh, this is another expansion shrine. So again, if I get someone to come and repair this shrine, it'll expand my influence to over here, so I'll be able to actually modify things. The world is quite large. At release, I don't believe this feature is quite running in the version that I'm playing at this time. But the idea is, this is sort of kind of played online. Not the same way that SimCity is always online. You can play this solo and offline as much as you want. But if you have uncovered the... Where is it? This. With the two clasp hands. This is the Shrine of Multiplayer. If I click on this, it'll actually open up my Steam list and let me play with my friends. I can challenge them to combat, a one-on-one sort of RTS-style battle. Or I can, later on, there's possibility of cooperative play. And also in this world, the way it's going to work in this sort of server play, this world, if you start up, you're going to get exactly the same world that I have. It is not randomly generated. But the idea will be, in the multiplayer server mode, it will be procedurally generated. In the area that you start in, you're going to have like about 100 miles of space. But they say, this is the word, is after about a week worth of play, you will have spread out over this 100-mile area quite a bit. And that's when you will run into the borders of literally another player out there on the internet. You will apparently have the ability to erect a barrier around your area and stay an isolationist, so you don't have to worry about, you know, being competitive if you don't want to. But if you choose to, you can decide to sort of start messing with the other guy's stuff, which, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes, but it's very compelling. And again, huge plans. So what does the multiplayer combat actually look like? Well, there's another shrine over here, the Mount of the Gods. And this is a fake multiplayer mode. In fact, you'll even see these fake chats from a few different characters. In this case, it's Amy X who's talking to us. They're going to introduce us to Dan. Yeah, these people are not real people. This is just computer people. The chat's always the same at this particular mission. I am at mission number 4. So I'm going to request a battle, and we'll see exactly what that looks like. There as we go. There's B. Plimmers, who I'm going to be fighting this time. Person who's, what's it called? Cat bearding, right? So we're going to proceed. For some reason, you can set how many people you start with. There doesn't seem to actually be a disadvantage to starting with the maximum amount in this particular mode. It doesn't affect your reward in any way. It doesn't affect anything else about it. So, you know, against the AI, may as well max it out every time. And there we go. So I've started off with 10 people and a little bit of space, a very small area of influence. I'm going to go ahead and trim out some of these trees here and stones just to give my people some extra room to expand, like so. Now in this mode, the buildings that you have sort of available to you may be different from what you have unlocked in the campaign mode. In particular, I only have buildings up to size 2 unlocked, but you can see this one's size 3. And in fact, if I clear a large enough area, say like over here, I'll actually form a size 4 fort. In this multiplayer mode, the size 4 fort doesn't spawn extra people, but it generates tons of belief. So it's actually not a bad idea to have some of those forts early on, but you don't want to have too many because the little houses actually generate people much more quickly. Every building seems to generate people at approximately the same rate, approximately plus or minus a few minutes. So buy real estate, you get people a lot faster with these small buildings. And actually, they actually are on a slightly faster timer. Belief-wise, again, the small buildings, and everything is sped up considerably in the multiplayer mode. The small buildings generate belief on a shorter timer than the larger buildings, but the larger buildings generate a lot more belief per go. So generally speaking, the larger beliefs are a more efficient way to generate a whole lot of belief just on a slower timer, which is actually good because once your empire gets quite large, it's actually a pain to sort of micromanage everything to the point where you have tons of little buildings all over and you have to go back to every single one every few minutes to click on them to pick up your belief. You're much better off with the large buildings that are on like a 2-hour timer, but give you huge amounts of belief. So at any given time, there's only going to be 1 or 2, in your towns that might be available to give you some belief, but it's going to be a massive chunk, enough to really help you flatten a large area. So in this multiplayer mode, in this particular one, my goal is to destroy the enemy civilization before time runs out. So let's aim to do that. So again, the real beauty of the game is that single player mode, and there's very few instructions, to be honest. It's really a wonderful sense of discovery, and I almost don't want to spoiler things too much. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. It is weird because you're just spending so much time clicking. Frankly, your finger's going to start to get sore. And you're going to wonder, like, how is just sort of clicking like this fun? And the next thing you know, 4 hours have gone by, and you have no idea where all the time went. It's a truly beautiful game, and I'm really enjoying it. So we're going to go ahead and finish this multiplayer mode, and then we'll probably wrap this whole thing up. I don't feel like Godus lends itself very well to a true and proper Let's Play, so I'm not sure what we're going to do about it. I'm going to put down a totem over here to encourage my people to come to the top of the hill and start colonizing there. But it's probably just because a lot of it is just sort of clicking and there's not necessarily that much to talk about, but I think it lends itself exceptionally well. And I tend to phase out when I'm playing and just like get zoned into the clicking. But I think it might lend itself nicely to some time lapses and other things. We'll see. I'm very much enjoying this game, and I want to give a shout out to Matt over on Steam, who actually sent me the copy of Godus here for me to try out and make a video for. And maybe we'll get together and do a little bit of multiplayer at some point. I do have a very wonky schedule though, so I really shouldn't make any kind of promises to that effect. So again, in this multiplayer mode, all of the buildings do produce very, very fast, so it becomes a crazy click fest as you keep trying to pick up all your belief, spawn your people. And the way to wage the actual war is very simple. If I scroll over to the right, here's the enemy village, so at some point I'm going to want to move my totem over right into their village. And your people will automatically attack enemy villagers and also their buildings. So I just deactivated the totem there just so that my people would go and fill out any plots of land that they were nearby instead of just worshipping at the totem. If the totem is right on a plot or a shrine or something, I think that they do tend to work on it. Maybe it's actually just shrines specifically, I'm not sure. Ooh, I'm ending up with too many forts here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drag the terrain into the fort because I don't want this many forts. I actually want smaller buildings because I want actual population production. I don't need that much belief anymore. I need population, so let's focus on that. That's going to be another fort over there, so let's just drag that into there as well and see what we can do. Oops, I actually lost some influence radius there. Unfortunate. Let's go and reactivate the totem as well, just to send more people up top. Double click that, get rid of it, pick up some more belief. See, one fort I find is lots and lots of belief. Now, as it is, I don't have a lot of the superpowers activated. For example, the Meteor Strike, Armageddon, Temple of Healing. There's a lot more abilities that you can unlock down the road. And will help you, especially in these combat phases, which are totally optional. Well, the combat versus AI, which is what I'm doing here, is highly recommended because it does give you more cards. Some are resource cards, but it also unlocks some of the specific spells and abilities. In particular, if you beat the 5th match, you get a very, very important one called Mining, which you really don't want to live without because you're going to find these gem veins at some point in your exploration on the normal sort of single-player mode. And the gems can be mined to give you more gems, the number that was in the top right corner, which is very, very handy for lots of things. It does let you speed up building production, but also can instantly give you some resources. And there's a lot of value in in doing that. Again, I sort of expanded here stupidly, so I'm getting all these forts, and I'm trying to avoid having too many. I might let whatever's there at this point go. That's fine. Oh, also, your people get tired after a while. You see that they start to walk around slouched like that. You can click on them to heal them, and then they walk around, A, faster, and B, eventually they actually just like die from old age or something. So this just gives them more life and keeps them around. Also, whenever one of your people die, you actually lose a little bit of belief. So if you can keep them alive, that's good. It's a problem if you're getting them to walk really, really far distances, because they might actually, like, you can't really get them to walk across the huge continental map without having them die of old age on the way. So there's a limit to how far your people will come. See, there's some more slouchy people. But that's okay, because then you just expand your actual buildings over there, so then you can just spawn some followers in a closer by area. There's also shrines of speed you can put down, and actually I'm going to put down a few of those in this combat mode at some point. The statue of speed is 10k, it's quite expensive, but I should end up with quite a lot of belief in this particular session because, oh, look at that, enemy totems being placed up here. I should end up with a lot of belief in here because I've got so many forts, so we should be able to get lots of shrines of speed, which will help get my people to the front lines a little bit easier. Let's actually go ahead and I'm going to move the totem to the back here, activate it again, encourage some more people to come up from the bottom, and expand up here. And try to leave some of those rocks there just to avoid creation of another fort. I have unlocked the ability, I can move some of these plots around as well and have a little bit of ability to control where they actually go. How much time we got left? 12 minutes. We should be able to win perfectly fine. There we go. I can start clearing that up. Let's flatten this terrain out as well. There we go. Fit some more plots in there. I have way more population than the other person, which is great. Who am I fighting? I'm fighting B Plipper, something like that. Spawn out a whole bunch more people, wake them up, activate the totem again, get people up the hill, and once they're up the hill, I think I will mount my first attack on the enemy terrain, assuming they haven't actually mounted an attack on me yet. Alright, good. Can spawn a few people over here as well. Yeah, so the enemy has placed the totem up there, but it's not active, so I don't actually have anyone walking up the hill to challenge me. Would be nice to have a shrine of speed at this point, but we can make do without. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the totem down to this area. Boom. So now my people are going to be on the warpath. I mean, they're just walking in the direction, but once they get there, they will engage anything nearby. Now, with the totem down, that nearby is actually a relatively narrow area. There's not a lot of room for them to, like, they won't wander far from the totem to destroy the entire town. So I will have to move the totem around or deactivate it, which is actually not a bad idea, because then what they'll actually do is, A, they will spread out a bit more, but they will also take over any plots down there and build their own buildings after some have been torn down. Alright, that should be a pretty good amount. Let's go see what's going on down there. There's my people streaming down, killing the red people. Any they encounter, then they're going to smash down the buildings. The buildings do leave rubble behind. Some of the rubble gets cleared up. I think it's actually the enemy god that's clearing up that rubble. But it's also opening up some plots here, which my people will put up some buildings in those places. Now, I should have way more buildings available to keep spawning people, so I should be able to be relatively safe down there, but sometimes I screw up. I'm going to leave the totem where it is for a moment, spawn another wave of people, and I'll probably just move the totem up. I can actually put down a shrine of speed too, which I'm going to want to do, whoops, in this lower area. Accidentally, whoops, smashed up a building. There we go. Good. Alright, let's move that totem a little further in. So yeah, if I deactivated the totem, then they would go and build extra buildings here, which there's some value in doing that, but sometimes you just want to be smashing things. Do I have the Finger of God? Oh, I do have the Finger of God. Excellent. Let's turn on that mode. Smash, 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 smash. Stomp some buildings. Slow down the opponent a little bit. People get thrown out all over the place. There we go. Let's keep spawning some people, and we should be able to win this war. So, you know, this is not particularly complicated, but to me, it feels good just to go around, click things, spawn things, watch them run around. And again, the combat mode is not the important part of the game. The important part is the single player, just building, exploring, expanding, looking at the terrain, finding those chests, digging them up, unlocking the next level of technology. I mean, could you imagine? This starts off. This is like Civilization, only more so, more zoomed in somehow, because it does, you know, go right to the space age, and I'm very curious to see exactly what that's going to be. Let's get down one of those statues of speed here. I think they were a little higher up. Statue of speed. Put it down right around there. There we go. So it's going to put down an aura, and anyone that crosses that aura will move very, very fast. There it goes. See? So they get a little speed boost. Let's move the totem. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I'm just going to deactivate the totem at this point, so they can go and wander whatever direction they want. They should smash down some things and generally do okay. It means there's not going to get any reinforcements, though. So we'll have to check on that in a second. Or rather, I'll have to reawaken the totem in a sec. The downside to letting them build settlements, of course, is actually then they're not running around to kill anyone or destroy anything at that point. They're just going to be in the house. But I like having us take over the territory. So we'll move the totem and reactivate it. And now I'm just going to have them clean up any area that's left nearby. Only 8 enemy followers kicking around. They're currently fighting. You see they're just punching each other. I can't click on the opponents to kill them. I can still heal my people here, which is quite handy. Let's deactivate that totem. In the regular campaign map, there are wolves that go around. And you can click on the wolves to kill them, which is good because your people don't actually seem to defend themselves against wolves. Down to 4. Down to 2. Come on, where are the last ones? Oh, there they are. Just finish them off. Oh, they killed one of my followers. 1 left. There he is, way over here. Let's heal my followers up. There we go. Last one has just gone down. And we've won! Last man standing. There are a couple of different combat modes. Last man standing is certainly the most common. Another one is simply, it's a much shorter timer, and your goal is to have a higher population when the timer goes off. So you can do that by engaging in combat, but you can also avoid it. So by winning that particular quest, that level 4, that 4th mission, I actually get my multiplayer opponent shows up as a citizen in my world, which is kind of cool. Your opponent, humbled by your crushing victory, has decided to come and settle in your homeworld. These are fixed rewards in the single-player fake AI combat. But against a real-life multiplayer opponent, then you would get a random set of resource cards. You get 1,000 belief there added, a clay resource card, and another clay resource card. And I think I've got lots of clay. There you go. There's my opponent right there. Can I have a finger of God? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, they might not actually be dead. I still have the finger of God. I can, like, smash some buildings if I want. I'm a cruel and vengeful God. Oh, no, there they went. I actually killed them outright. Whoops. There you go, 30k belief. I've got lots of belief. I can basically sit around terraforming the world at this point and continue to explore. Oh, I forgot. This is an expansion shrine, but it's not quite on the level here, so let's do that. There we go. It wasn't fully exposed. I was wondering before, like, why it wasn't expanding, and then I realized that, oh, it's because it looked like it was uncovered, but it wasn't actually. Oh, there we go. Plimmer's still around, so that's good to know. Good to know that my opponent will be permanently trapped in my world. Oh, this area here used to be swampy. In fact, there's still some swampy bits. I use my beautify ability, which is actually near the top of the page. There it is, beautify. So I get 8 seconds of beautification, so I can get rid of the swamp, but it also leaves things nice and shiny, which is quite spiffy. There we go. Leaves the ground all sparkly and flowery, and butterflies too. The butterflies keep confusing me because I keep thinking it's a chest, but it's not. But listen, this is an absolutely wonderful little game. Keep in mind, if you're going to buy it now, it is unfinished, and part of that means you might get tired of it because there's a limit to how much gameplay is currently available in the game. So with these games that are not yet fully released, sometimes I recommend that people actually hold off. That was one of the things with Prison Architect. Like, I got it, and I played it for a while. Then I got kind of bored because there was a limit to how much was available. So then I put it aside, and I didn't touch it for a few months until there was, you know, a good number of other updates put in. Then I went in and discovered there's, you know, tons more gameplay available. That being said, the early ages are pretty fun as is. So there you have it. There's if we hit the gears here, there's some how to play instructions. Also, the design notes will give you patch updates and you know, what changes happen on every fix, and they do seem to come in relatively regularly. So there you have it. That is the Let's Try of Godus. There may be more videos of this, not in the short term. I think probably a little bit later, but who knows? Frankly, I expect to be playing this a whole bunch more in the next few days, so there might be another video or two. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.